Good evening. The remains of the two pilots of the ill-fated FA-50 fighter jet of the Philippine Air Force have been extracted from the crash site in the Calatungan mountain range in Bukidnon, according to the Philippine Army. The two pilots were identified as Major Jude Salang-Oy and First Lieutenant April John Dadulia. According to Philippine Army 4th Infantry Division spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Francisco Garello, the bodies were successfully extracted around Thursday midnight, March 6. Garello says that around 1 a.m., the bodies were taken out of the crash site and transferred to the pickup point in Pangatukan, Bukidnon before they were transported to Cagayan de Oro City. On March 4, the Philippine Air Force reported that an FA-50 fighter jet went missing shortly after midnight while on its way to Mactan Air Base in Cebu. The jet was found by ground troops in the vicinity of the Mount Calatungan complex, Bukidnon, on Wednesday morning, March 5, along with the remains of the pilots. All FA-50 fighter jets of the Philippine Air Force were grounded amid investigation following the crash. Meanwhile, Presidential Communications Office Undersecretary Claire Castro says on Thursday that President Bongbong Marcos has ordered a swift investigation to determine the cause of the crash. Makabayan bloc lawmakers filed a resolution seeking a congressional probe into the collapse of the 1.22 billion Santa Maria-Cabagan Bridge in Isabela Province. House Deputy Minority Leader and ACT Teachers Party List Representative Franz Castro led the filing of the House Resolution number 2249 on Wednesday, March 6. Based on the resolution, the lawmakers alleged that corruption, the use of substandard materials, and negligence in the daily operation of the project may have caused the collapse. According to reports, the bridge collapsed on February 27 after a dump truck carrying quarried stones weighing 102 tons passed on it. At least 8 individuals were injured from the incident. The bridge was opened last month after over a decade since its construction began in November 2014. Only light vehicles were allowed to pass the bridge since it had a 44-ton weight capacity. Lawmakers pointed out that the long delay in the project completion and the collapse raised serious concerns about the bridge's design and approval, as well as the quality of materials used. Lawmakers also questioned the integrity of the construction and the oversight of the Department of Public Works and Highways and other government agencies involved in its day-to-day operations. They also mentioned that allegations of corruption, inadequate inspections, substandard materials, and possible collusion between contractors and government officials have surfaced. In light with this, the lawmakers urged the lower chamber to investigate the collapse, identify the responsible parties, and determine whether corruption and negligence played a role in the incident. President Bongbong Marcos is unfazed by the supposed education crisis highlighted when a noontime show contestant admitted that she is not knowledgeable about the Commission on Elections, according to the Presidential Communications Office. In one of the segments of the noontime show, It's Showtime last week, a contestant failed to give a message to the COMELEC during the question and answer portion. The contestant said she was unfamiliar with the poll body, a response that show host Vice Ganda found bothersome. This particular scene went viral on social media, raising concerns over the educational problem in the country. In a briefing on Thursday, March 6, PCO Undersecretary Claire Castro was asked if the palace is bothered by the infamous video clip and what the government plans to do about it. Castro responds,
Hindi po nababahala ang ating Pangulo dahil sa atin po, sa panahon po ngayon, lahat po ng paraan ay ginagawa po natin para maiingat po ang level ng ating edukasyon.
Castro adds that the shortcomings of one do not translate as the overall fault of the government's efforts to improve the education system of the country. New findings unveiled chips, brand, and cell phone model sounding names linked to Mary Grace Piattos, one of the non-existent recipients of the confidential funds under the Office of the Vice President's Aid Program, according to a lawmaker. House Deputy Majority Leader La Union Representative Paulo Ortega V says the new findings from the annexes of the impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte indicate that Mary Grace Piattos was not alone. Ortega discloses that 2 other names seemingly linked to Mary Grace Piattos have surfaced, named as Pia Piattos Lim and Renan Piattos. However, Ortega points out that Pia and Renan's middle name and last names only have a single T. Ortega further reveals that another name surfaced similar to the Xiaomi cell phone model from 2018. He says the name Xiaomi 8 also appears on the list. Similarly, these names have no birth, marriage, or death records from the Philippine Statistics Authority. Ortega says it seems that there is already a whole family of Piattos and even a cell phone model that has joined. The lawmaker cites these findings as one of the reasons why Duterte must answer where the funds was used. According to Ortega, Duterte needs to explain who exactly makes up this Budol gang when she presents her defense at the impeachment trial. In December last year, the House Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability submitted over 1,900 individuals linked to the alleged misuse of the confidential funds of the Office of the Vice President under the helm of Duterte. 3 persons died while 3 others were injured after a blaze hit a 3-story residential building in Marikina City on Thursday, March 6, according to the Bureau of Fire Protection. The PFP says the fire broke out in the building along East Santos Street, corner Cepeda Street, and Barangay Concepcion Uno at around 8:05 a.m. The incident was raised to the first alarm at 8:11 a.m. The fire was brought under control by 8:30 a.m. and was declared fully extinguished at 9:44 a.m. According to BFP, the fatalities are a 55-year-old male, a 23-year-old, and an 18-year-old female. 3 were uninjured, including a 29-year-old male and a 6-year-old female who sustained first-degree burns on their upper bodies. Meanwhile, a 4-year-old male suffered an abrasion on his left elbow. Around 60 individuals were displaced by the fire. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. And these are the stories you need to know today. I am Zacharian Sarao. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, X, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net.